Welcome, dear friends, to another episode of SarahSpeaks, the podcast where we learn, where we grow, and where we all succeed together. Today, we are going to our last episode in our series, Learning from Giants, where we are learning from the entrepreneurial giants of Nigeria from 1960 to date, how they have scaled businesses, how they have left legacies, and how they have done business in a sustainable, consistent manner to succeed at times way beyond even their wildest imaginations. We have homegrown unicorn organizations, Nigerian young men who have been able to establish billion-dollar organizations because they thought outside the box. And today, we're going to go back and look and learn from these giants. Pioneers, the giants of the 1960s, 1970s. These are people who laid foundations when Nigeria was still finding her feet. These are people who invested, who had the courage to dare to invest because they believed in their country, Nigeria. In the midst of a civil war and a difficult time, military rule, these men invested, and we have quite a number of them. I remember the days of luxurious buses, Ekenedili Chukwu, and all of them. They were all pioneers, investing in different areas of businesses across Nigeria and making a success of it. Then we moved to the transformers, those who invested in 1980 to 2000. We talked about people who changed the face of business, who looked the old order in the face and said, we can change things, we can do better. All we need to do is introduce culture, ethics, and technology. And they changed the face of banking in Nigeria. Then we moved to the digital disruptors, those who have grown global organizations from Nigeria, who from day one did not think small. They thought globally how to support, solve problems in Africa and connect Africa to the world. And they rewrote the rules of digital innovation. In this final episode, we are going to tie it all together. We are going to talk about a common thread that we see tying the different generations of successful entrepreneurs and businessmen together. We are going to look at what connects these giants across generations, what stands out in each season, and what we, the emerging entrepreneurs, the emerging career people, the emerging businessmen of today can learn from their successes, can learn from their character, can learn from their consistency so that we too can build successful enterprises. Across every generation, across the 3 seasons we've spoken about, there are similarities. Things that these successful Nigerians across generations did, that you can look in the different generation and you can see the similarities, the thinking pattern that ensured that they succeeded. The first one is that they had a vision bigger than self. The pioneers were looking to impact their community. We are looking to uplift their community out of poverty. If you look at what Abiola did in the 1970s and 1980s, he changed lives through scholarships, through football, through investments in the lives of people. He used his success in his businesses to touch lives, not only in his native Ogun State, but across Nigeria. If you look at Igbidedio, he put Okada on the world map. He made it a relevant town in Nigeria today just because of him. So the pioneers had dreams beyond themselves. The pioneers saw industries where none had existed before them. They built industries from scratch. The transformers saw culture to build institutions that would outlast the institutions that would grow to become global organizations. And they did it. The digital transformers, right from the beginning, they thought global. They wanted to solve Africa's problem. They wanted to connect Africa with the world. They wanted to touch lives and change the difficulty that people experience in their daily lives today through technology. And because of that vision that was bigger than themselves, they had to think outside the box, they had to innovate, and they had to do things differently. And that is what ensured that they succeeded. Across generations, success was established when people were not selfish or greedy, but looked beyond themselves. Tells us something. Another thing is that these people were courageous. In all of the eras we have spoken about, there was not one where Nigeria was calm and safe to invest. Despite the challenges of each generation, these men and women got up and they invested. They had the courage to dare, to take loans, to put money behind their idea. And because they were courageous, they dared and they succeeded. Nigeria has not been easy. Poor infrastructure, unstable policies, policies yo-yo. The challenges are constant. But each generation, we see men and women that pressed on despite the difficulties. Winston Churchill once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." And these men and women across generations had the courage not only to dare, but to continue, to be faithful, to put their hands on the plow and not look back. And that is why they succeeded. In each generation, we see people that made an impact beyond profit. So you will see that their focus was not on the profitability, it was on the impact, it was on the legacy. And because of that, it gave them the strength to stay despite the difficulties. If you look at Chief Igbidedio changing the face of Okada, if you look at Fola Adeola and Tayo Aderonoku changing the face of banking in Nigeria, or you want to look at the Piggy Invest, each of them wanted an impact beyond self. Piggy Invest showed us that investment is not the sole preserve of the privileged and wealthy few. No matter where you are on the economic ladder, you can save something. And through that, she has changed lives. Each season had its own peculiarities. If you look at the pioneers, they were community builders. They focused on industry. They focused on manufacturing. They focused on factories, physical infrastructure, things you could see, touch, feel. That was what they focused on. And that is what made the difference. That is why today we can talk about eleganza industry. We could talk about Okada Air. We could talk about Okada Dry. You can talk about things because they were building industry, Hebrew fisheries, Hebrew hotel chain. It was about infrastructure. It was about factories. It was about manufacturing, making a difference, building structures. They turned villages into towns. They touched lives. They were the ones that built legacies that are physical, estates that belonged to one man, Shonibare Estates. It was more about infrastructure. If you go to the Transformers, they were more of institutional builders. GT Bank brought a new culture into the banking industry, a culture of service delivery, a culture of professional-looking young people being bankers. It was in that time we had what we used to call yuppie, young and upwardly mobile. They changed the face of banking, made it more attractive, made it more fulfilling, made it more profitable. They gave us banks. They gave us structures. They gave us cultures that would endure through generations. They thrived in chaos with discipline and strategy. They brought corporate culture to become a theme in Nigeria. That's what the Transformers did. And if we look at the digital disruptors, they are innovators and scale makers. They leverage technology to bypass the difficulty of today and make life easier for everyone, the common man. Because of the digital disruptors, transferring money across boundaries has become boundless. And those are the kind of things that we see, the peculiarities across generations. So in your industry and generation today, what are the things that you see that are peculiar to that industry? That if you did something about it, you changed the culture, you tuned something, you tweaked with something, it will provide a lasting impact and a pathway to sustainable success. That is what we're talking about. It's not about taking the banking industry solution and plugging it into the technology space. No, it's about looking within your space and industry. What are the challenges today? How can I innovate? How can I change that story and perchance make make life easier for the common Nigerians, make an impact on the lives of people, and create success beyond my wildest imagination therefrom. Each season reflects Nigeria's peculiarities, but it also shows us one thing: the Nigerian resilience to rise above our current realities and challenges and create something different, something new, something sustainable. That is what we call the Nigerian spirit, and majority of Nigerians have it. How do we then harness it for value? Is the question we should be asking, so that more and more of us are creating sustainable legacies. Like the Bible says, we are leaving an inheritance for our children's children, not just in terms of physical wealth, but in terms of thinking beyond boundaries, of seeing opportunities, not problems and challenges, but the opportunities those problems and challenges bring, so that we can resolve it. Give our children a mindset that sees possibilities in every situation, so that perchance we can build a legacy of sustainable success in our individual families. What are the lessons we can take away from this discussion? The first one for me is that each of them started from where they were. They did not dream to start something big and elaborate, but they started from where they were, and they all grew over time. Many of us create a vision that is so large, we are afraid to start. But if you start from where you are, and like the Bible says, don't disdain the day of little beginnings. I tell you, with consistency, with courage, with resilience, with excellence, you will scale and you will break boundaries. Build with values. The Transformers taught us that culture is key. Why did GT Bank scale so fast and succeed beyond the imagination of even the Transformers that set it up? Because they changed the culture. They looked at the pain points of Nigerians at that time. We needed to go to the bank. We needed to queue up. There was no customer service. You came into the bank and you were there from morning till 3 p.m. and nobody cared. But they came with service. They made banking seamless. They made it easier. They made it more comfortable, more convenient. And through that culture change, they achieved lasting success. Culture is a business advantage. Don't compromise your values in doing business. Uphold your values. The Transformers were clear on the values they wanted to bring to business, bring to success, bring into their industry. And that clarity of values and culture was what changed the trajectory for them, changed their story. The third one is think global, act digital. We live in the digital world today. What are the problems you see? How can you solve those problems using digital technology? Today, AI has come to stay. How are you using AI? In your business, how are you using AI? In your career, how are you using AI to learn faster, to think faster, to make an impact faster? How are you leveraging the power of AI? The digital disruptors harness the power of technology, and they have broken boundaries. By harnessing the power of technology, you can solve problems and you can create sustainable legacies. Think global, act digital. Because today, the world is a global village. And those who can connect and thrive within that global village are those who will succeed beyond wildest imagination. Above all, be consistent. Consistency is key. You must be known for excellence. Your customers must trust you. You must be available to address their pain points, to solve their problems, to give them the best experience they can get anywhere in the industry. Because culture matters, and your consistency and your resilience will deliver great benefits with time. Consistency is the secret weapon of every giant that we have talked about thus far. They have gone through difficult periods. They have gone through failures. They have fallen, but they have always fallen forward, and they have had the resilience to rise and run again. So here's my challenge to you as we wrap up this series. Don't just admire the giants. Learn from them and become one yourself. I plan to become one myself. Let's all become giants in our industry, because we have the knowledge, we have the skill, we have the courage, we have the resilience, we have the excellence and consistent spirit to become giants. So why can't we? Write your vision. Write your vision. Take the first step. Be courageous and commit to impact beyond yourself, beyond your family, beyond your immediate environment. Impact generations, impact lives, impact communities. And once you have all of that, run. What did I say? Run, because success has come knocking. knocking on your door. If there's one thing Nigeria's history has taught us, is that ordinary people can rise to do extraordinary things. If you look at our story from 1960 to date, it's a story of the common man rising above self to do great and mighty things in Nigeria, do extraordinary things. Look at the story of Tony Elumelu. Look at the story of Osagie Okunbo, the immediate past country chairman of Shell in Nigeria. Look at the story of Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State. You will see pictures of him as a young man following his masters. Our story is not replete with children of the elite doing great things. No, because at times I ask, where are the children of the great men and women of the 1960s and 1970s, the politicians of repute? But today we have a new roll call of successful people who we never heard of their parents before them. But we now know some parents because their children have dared to do great things. So, are you a man in your 80s? Are you a boy in your teens? You can do great things. Choices, decisions, those are the things that define the legacy. What choices are you making? What decisions are you making? What knowledge do you have today that will enable you make the kind of decisions that will change your story? I hope this series has inspired you as much as it has inspired me, because it has shown me that ordinary people like me can aspire to greatness at any level if I will just be consistent and work with values, building a culture of excellence everywhere I go. If I can make my consumers and my stakeholders to trust me, to know that what she says is what she does and what she does is what she says, integrity, then I then see that truly we can all succeed together. This is Sarah of the SarahSpeaks podcast, and I invite you today, come on board. Let's succeed together. It's possible because the story of the Nigerian entrepreneurs, giants in their trade doing great things, has shown us that ordinary people like us can actually, if we build ourselves, do extraordinary things. Take care.